Hey guys, and welcome to We Watch Some Stuff. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be talking about Insidious, The Last Key.
People who need help with matters that can't be explained come to me. These hauntings can be terrifying things. I should know. I've faced many evils in my life. This was different, though. The haunted house. Is my family's house. If we can find out what it is, we can stop this curse. To end this evil, I need to go deeper into the further. I don't have memories from this place. I have scars. I am gonna find it, and I'm gonna finish it. Please, there's someone right in front of you. I don't see anything. Be careful. You're going to touch it.
So Insidious The Last Key, aka Insidious Chapter 4, is another prequel that takes place before the first movie. And if you guys want to watch the Insidious franchise in chronological order, this is the order that it would be. Insidious Chapter 3, Insidious The Last Key, Insidious, and Insidious Chapter 2. So technically this is Insidious 2 right here. But basically, it's a little bit, I wouldn't say it's a little bit after. I would say it picks up almost immediately after 3 ends. She gets a call about a new case, and she finds out that it's her family's house that's haunted. So her and Tucker and Specs go out to investigate, and while they're there, they see there's a lot of shit going on. And what I thought of Insidious Last Key is, I really enjoyed this movie. I did. I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did. I am a fan of the Insidious franchise. I love the first 2. 3 was but it was still I was still fine with it. I didn't think it was horrible or unwatchable or anything like that. I still enjoyed 3 for what it is. So I thought going in that Insidious The Last Key would be very similar to that. I thought I would go in and it'll be like, yeah, that was an alright entry in the franchise, but nothing amazing. And while I do enjoy it for what it is, I will say I like Insidious The Last Key more than I like Insidious Chapter 3. I do. Insidious The Last Key, I think, is going to be a very underrated entry in the franchise. I don't think many people, when they think of the Insidious movies, I don't think they're going to bring up The Last Key too often. But yeah, there's so much going on in this movie. For a while, you think it's going to go one way, and then it twists its head and goes another way. And there's so much twists and turns in this movie, and it catches you by surprise. Some of it does. But let's talk about the scares. The scares is they're okay. They're not as good as they are in the other entries in the franchise. I will admit that. But story-wise, this movie is I think this movie has a really strong story and a really strong character. But let's go back to the scares just for a second. The scares are okay, but they do have a couple of highlights when it comes to the scares. Take a look at this clip right here.
Stop. What? Go back to the left. Yeah, nothing. Thought I saw some feet. Feet. Lisa. There's someone right in front of you.
I don't see what you're seeing.
Be careful.
So yeah, this movie does have its highlights when it comes to some of the scares. And that little clip I showed you, that's not the full scene. That's not the full scare. There's still more to it. But let's talk about the characters. I was going to talk about this a minute ago before I showed the clip. But the characters. Elise. Elise has been the one carrying this franchise since the first movie. Which is crazy because, spoiler alert, she died at the end of the first movie. And she has been like the connecting tissue between all of the Insidious films throughout the franchise. And she's such a great character. And if you guys have been sitting through Insidious Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3, wanting to know a little bit more on Elise, but still haven't been fully satisfied on like her backstory, because then you get little hints and clues about certain things of her backstory in the previous films. But for any of you who are a little bit disappointed in those when it comes to her backstory, I think you people will be pretty happy with that, with the last key here, because this is Elise's origin story. This is the full-on Insidious, the origin of Elise. It really is. You get to dive into her past. You get to find out where she came from, how she dealt with her abilities when she was growing up, and the main character in this movie is Elise. It's not like, oh, these people are being haunted and Elise and Tucker and Specs come in as supporting characters. No, this is full frontal the Elise movie right here. Elise is the main character of the movie, which is great. Lin Shaye has done an incredible job in all four of these movies, but this one in particular, this is a fascinating performance by Lin Shaye. And who would have thought that, a fourth horror sequel in a franchise, which releases in January, was going to be this enjoyable? I certainly did not. Being the fact that it did come out in January, the month where movies go to die, and it is a fourth movie in the Insidious franchise, and the third one was nothing compared to the first two. This one pleasantly surprised me. It really did. But like I said, if you're a fan of the Insidious franchise and you are invested in the story and the characters of Elise, Tucker, and Specs, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Let's talk about Tucker and Specs for a minute, because Tucker and Specs have sort of been the comedy relief of the franchise. And do the jokes always work? No, the jokes don't work all the time. However, in this movie, they do have a couple good lines. Like, there's a line where they call their little ghost van that they have, they call it the Winnebagost, which I thought was pretty funny. And then, of course, the "she's sidekick, we're sidekick" line, that comes up twice in the movie, and both times were pretty funny. And the further, when you go into the further in this movie, you're right back into this Insidious world that you fell in love with in the first movie. And the further is still creepy. It still has no time. There's no time in the further. I kind of sound like Liam Neeson here for a second. There's no time. But anyway, yeah, when you go into the further, that's when everything starts ramping up. That's when they try to throw a whole bunch of shit at you all at once. And while some of it works and some of it is really well done, I will say there are other spots that, didn't really work for me when it comes to that. But overall, guys, I really enjoy Insidious: The Last Key. Yeah, now I'm going to start talking a little bit of spoilers because there are some things in this movie that I have to talk about that I can't talk about unless, we talk spoilers. So, if you guys have not seen Insidious: The Last Key yet, go out, watch Insidious: The Last Key, come back, and we'll watch the spoiler half of this review. So, this is your spoiler warning now, and hopefully anybody who hasn't seen The Last Key yet has left. So, with that being said, let's talk spoilers. Let's talk about this demon. I don't know what the name of this demon was. So, for sake of argument, I'm just going to call this one the Keymaster. The Keymaster is hell, that might even be the right name for all I know. I can't remember, but the Keymaster has a really unique design. All of these demons in this movie, in these Insidious movies, have had a very unique design, and you get to find out a little bit more of their backstory. And yeah, I mean it's cool, but this particular demon is a real son of a bitch. The family, it's not really a family, it's more like just one guy living in the house, which is weird for an Insidious film. But yeah, when they get to the house to investigate, you find out that this one guy has a woman locked in his basement, and it's crazy, and it takes a total turn. It's like, whoa, I did not expect an Insidious movie to go the Lifetime psycho movie route. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that was really cool. And then what makes it even better is when you go back in the past and you find out a little bit more about Elise's backstory, you find out that her father was actually doing the same thing. So this demon has been possessing these men, I should say, to kidnap these women and kill them. And I thought that was a really cool concept to add into a fourth Insidious movie because, like I said, we're at the fourth one. You got to start doing things that are a little bit fresh, and so it's not the same old thing over and over again. And I thought that added concept was really cool. Let's talk about the ending. The ending of this movie is just, it's insane. So they're in the further, and they're running past all these doors, and they see this red door, and you see Dalton from the first Insidious movie climbing the ladder. The whole reason he goes into a coma, quote unquote coma. And I thought that was really cool. It was old footage, but it was still cool to see Dalton again in the franchise and to see the Lambert family. And then when Elise is in the further, she sees her mom and she sees her dad, and it's really cool third act, very different when it comes to the Insidious films, but yet still keeping with that same style, if that makes any sense. And then I'm gonna veer off track a little bit. I'm gonna talk about her brother, Christian, Elise's brother, Christian. We find out Elise has a brother, and they haven't spoken to each other since Elise abandoned him when she was like 16. And she left the house, she ran away from home, and she hasn't really spoken to her brother since. And yeah, when Elise got attacked, when Elise got attacked, we didn't really see it. We saw the demon, and the next time we saw Elise, she was unconscious and she was stuck in the further. And then at that point, they bring in Christian, which is Elise's brother. They bring in his daughter, so that would be Elise's niece. And she has this, we find out that she has this ability too, the same abilities Elise has, and she's going to go into the further and save Elise. Now take a look at this clip right here.
Here, careful with your head. She's on the other side.
Somebody has to go in and help her.
Yeah, who's gonna do that? I can't do that. Can you do that?
I didn't say.
I can do it. I can help her.
Close your eyes. Listen to the ticking. 3, 2, 1. When I say now, you will open your eyes and you will be on the other side.
So yeah, there's just I love the whole world and concept of the Further, and I always love finding out more about that place. Um, but yeah, Imogene, her niece, the one that just went into the Further in that clip I just showed you. Yeah, she was an okay character, and being the fact that Elise dies at the end of the first movie, and that's another thing. I really love how this movie ties right into the first movie. It all comes full circle. They were marketing this particular movie as it was going to be the final one in the franchise. Do I think it's going to be the final one? I don't know. I would love for this one to be the final one because I love how it all wraps up. It all comes full circle. It all comes together. It ends like right when the first one's beginning. Like it ends when she gets the call from Lorraine Lambert, and she's like, "Look, you helped my son, Josh, years ago. Now I need you to help me with my grandson." And then Elise responds with, "Dalton, I already know. I'll be there in the morning." And then, I just love when movie franchises do that. They bring it full circle. It does feel like a really good and fitting ending to this franchise. But being that Hollywood is a business, and money has a lot to do with their business, if they decide to do Insidious 5, if they decide to do another one, there are ways that they can do it that I would be okay with if they decided to continue the franchise. For instance, her niece, Imogene, she has that ability also. We could follow a couple cases when Imogene is kind of leading the cases. And hey, Tucker and Specs could be with her too. You could also do more prequels if you decided to go that route, where you could do like some of the cases that Elise did when she was a little bit younger, before Insidious Chapter 3, before Insidious The Last Key. You could do that way if you want to go that route. Or personally, for me, this is the way that I kind of hope they go with Insidious 5, if they decide to do an Insidious 5. Pick it up after Insidious Chapter 2. We still have no idea what happened after the events of Insidious Chapter 2. If you guys don't remember, Insidious Chapter 2 ends with Tucker and Specs going to this house because Elise was kind of telling them to, even though Elise is dead. And her spirit is still there with them when they get to the house. Elise's spirit walks into the house. She's talking to this girl who needs help, and she looks up, and she's like, "Oh my God," and then she gasps, and we don't know what she saw. You could continue it from there, where Tucker and Specs are on their own, but Elise is still there in spirit. I would love for them to go that way, and I really want to find out what she saw, what happened after that, and that's kind of where I'm hoping that they go with it. But, like I said, there are other ways they could go if they decided to go that if they decided to make a fifth Insidious movie. So guys, I'm going to give Insidious The Last Key a rating now, and my rating system is a little bit different than most people. I have 3 ratings that I give to movies. With I give it either a go pay, which is my highest rating, which means I think you should go pay and see it. I give it a just wait, which means just wait until it hits like Redbox or Netflix and just like rent it or something like that. Give it a shot, but wait until like a rental type thing. You know what I mean? It's and then of course my final rating is no way, which means don't go watch this movie and all that stuff. This movie sucks or whatever. So those are my 3 rating systems. Now what I give Insidious The Last Key. At first, I was going to give it a very, 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 very high just wait, but I'm going to give it a go pay. I am going to give Insidious The Last Key a go pay because I was pleasantly surprised on how much I enjoyed this particular entry in the franchise. It is the 4th movie. We're 4 movies in now, and it's another prequel. Insidious 3 was so my expectations were a little low. But, and it came out in January, which is really never a good sign. But yeah, for the most part, I found this movie really enjoyable. Couple small things, couple minor issues that really just didn't really work for me personally. But for the most part, I really enjoy it. I'm giving this a go pay. So, if you guys have seen Insidious The Last Key, What did you guys think of it? What is your favorite movie in the Insidious franchise? You know what? No. I think a lot of people will go with the first one. So I'll say, what is your favorite Insidious sequel? What is your favorite Insidious movie after the first movie? Do you like Insidious Chapter 2, Chapter 3, or The Last Key the best after the first one? Or if you like the first one the best and you don't like any of the sequels, then, that's cool too. So, guys, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.